A fire elemental's wrath is as endless as the inferno that births it. To face one is to dance on the edge of annihilation. To summon one requires the burning of one's soul. GameMasters here, and fire elementals are born from the elemental plane of fire. They are living flames of destruction. They don't walk, they blaze across the battlefield, leaving trails of scorched earth and ash. Their very presence turns the air to smoke, and their touch ignites anything flammable. These creatures aren't just dangerous, they're relentless, driven by a primal need to burn. And they could be summoned. Summoning a fire elemental is no simple task. Only the most skilled spellcasters dare to call upon them, knowing that control is fleeting. The elemental's loyalty lasts as long as the magic binds it, but beware, once the spell ends, the elemental summoned simply disappears, leaving you in the dark. In combat, a fire elemental is a force of nature. It moves with blistering speed, engulfing enemies in roaring infernos. Weapons barely faze it, and those foolish enough to strike are often burned by the creature's searing heat. Fighting one is not a test of strength, but a test of survival against the very essence of fire. Despite their destructive nature, fire elementals can be allies in the right hands. Harness their power, and they become unstoppable engines of devastation. But remember, fire is never truly tamed. It can warm and protect, but can also consume everything in its path. Dramatics aside, I want to take a look at the new 2025 stat block for the Fire Elemental and compare it to the 2014 version so that we can see what changed. So, let's check them out. The new 2025 version sees the Fire Elemental as being large in size and of neutral alignment. It has an armor class of 13, 93 hit points, and a speed of 50 feet. The 2014 version saw pretty much the same things, except it had 1d10 plus 3 more hit points. And I'm a little unsure as to the choice for that change, but yeah, it used to have 102 hit points. Both the 2025 and 2014 version have the same stat points, with their strength being 10, dexterity being 17, constitution is 16, intelligence is 6, wisdom is 10, and their charisma is 7. Both versions also have resistances to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, but do keep in mind that the stat block from 2014 specifies that that's from non-magical attacks, whereas 2025 stat block has that wording omitted. Both have immunities to fire, poison, exhaustion, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, and unconscious. One change that we see in the 2025 version is the addition of cold vulnerability, meaning that anytime the fire elemental, can't talk there, takes cold damage, that damage is doubled. Both fire elemental versions have dark vision out to 60 feet and a passive perception of 10, and both are able to speak the language of primordial called Ignan. Even their challenge rating is the same, clocking in at 5. It's under traits that we do see a slight change. In 2014, the Fire Elemental has Fire Form, in which it can move through spaces as narrow as 1 inch wide without squeezing, and upon entering a creature's space, that creature will take 1d10 fire damage, plus anyone within 5 feet of it takes 1d10 fire damage as well. In 2025, this trait has been split into 2. It still has Fire Form, which defines the movement through space, and it still does 1d10 fire damage if it ends in a creature's space, but they split the damage that the creatures can take just by being near the elemental into a trait called Fiery Aura, giving it the emanation area of effect, which also increases the damage, the aura itself, by 5 feet, so that now creatures within 10 feet of the fire elemental will take that fire damage. Illumination has stayed the same in that the elemental sheds bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30 feet beyond that. Both versions also have water susceptibility, meaning that the fire elemental will take damage if it is moving through water or for every gallon of water splashed on it. This damage has also increased to 1d6 cold damage in the 2025 version, as opposed to simply 1 cold damage from its 2014 counterpart. And remember, that cold damage is doubled due to the 2025's vulnerability of it. for actions. Both versions get 2 attacks. However, in 2014, it simply is 2 touch attacks, whereas in 2025, it's called 2 burn attacks. And really, that's kind of saying the same thing, as both are +6 to its melee attack, which in turn does 2d6 plus 3 fire damage. But there is one fairly big change, at least in my opinion. In 2014, in addition to the base attack damage, creatures or flammable objects that the fire elemental hit would take 1d10 fire damage at the start of each of its turns. The 2025 version sort of keeps this, but it's been classified as a hazard called burning, and the fire damage itself the cause has been reduced to 1d4, which can be put out if you drop to the ground and roll. The old stop, drop, and roll. Yeah, you'll also take on the prone condition by doing so. So what does this all mean for your game? Well, whether you're a player summoning a fire elemental or if you're a DM unleashing one on your players, these changes bring new layers to the chaos. The doubled cold damage vulnerability adds a tactical twist, while the fiery aura ramping up the heat around it is bound to keep everyone on their toes. It's still the same relentless force of destruction, but with a few tweaks to keep things fresh. Or in this case, a little extra crispy. Now, I'd love to know what ways you're going to find to weave this fiery menace into your adventures, so be sure to tell me what your plans are down in the comments. Be sure to watch this video next, like the video you just watched, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next our paths cross, may your silver whistle not cease to make a sound. Bonus points if you can tell me how that relates to this video.